Hey guys, welcome back to SV Basic. Last week, I just have to say, was amazing. It was the best feeling to build the template and bring it down below, because this week we're going to start doing our layup with the panels and fiberglass, all sorts of fun things. We have a temporary up here because it's still really sunny and we need just some sun coverage if we're out here in the cockpit. It's kind of funny here in Napa. It is so cold at night. Last night was 31 degrees, but it warms up really nicely throughout the day. So it's perfect working conditions for us. I am not complaining. Teal is down there right now trying to figure out the layup, and I will be meeting him down there to help later on. But just hanging out here and just thinking about how ugly and hideous. Actually, I want to choose one word. It was, our old hardtop was hideous. It was heavy. It had no lines to it. I just can't believe it's been 2 years since we removed it.
Finally, after 8 years, the hardtop goes away. Okay, so taking this down.
My dad has been outside almost all day.
This is crazy! Total of roughly 555 pounds of weight. That's a lot in the back end. So I'm sure that what we come up with and design that will go with the flow of the boat will be much lighter.
It's getting there.
So we're getting to the tail end of the cutoffs.
Okay, top is off and it is looking clean.
I don't miss it. So we got a lot to do this week. I know that my role will be pretty important because I'm going to be Teal's mixer girl again. And I know in the past you guys have probably made a game out of this, maybe a drinking game, I don't know. But Teal says thicken epoxy a lot. So when you hear that, take a shot. I don't know. Or maybe not. It might be really bad for your health.
Well, there it is, the basic shape of our hardtop. I spent the good part of yesterday laying out these panels and cutting them to size. It was so easy now that I have this template. It gives me a nice work surface to work on. And it was just a matter of laying the panels out, marking the back side, flipping the panel, and cutting them to shape. This stuff actually cuts real easy. All I would use is a sharp razor and a straight edge. I would mark it out, flip the panel, and clamp the straight edge right on my mark. The first pass, I would just lightly score that scrim surface. And by doing that, your second pass doesn't want to wander. And on the second pass, I'll plunge about halfway through the panel. Then I'll remove my straight edge, and the third pass, I'll finish the cut. You know, I just worked my way panel by panel through this and filled it all in. I really paid attention to panel layout. I staggered my joints as much as I could, and hiding joints behind structural elements of this hardtop. There is a big soffit, light soffit, that goes underneath, and I wanted to put some seams right in those areas because I could add extra cloth in those areas to really tie those seams together. You know, when you're connecting these honeycomb panels together, when you're end joining them, if it was a finished panel, well, like this right here, here's one honeycomb panel that has hard glass on each side. If I'm connecting two of these panels, I'll actually dish out the core and insert a hard spline in here and connect two panels that way and epoxy them together. And then I can layer more glass over that to cover the seam. But with just a raw panel with a scrim surface, if I dish out that honeycomb, all it's leaving is that scrim surface. It really doesn't add any structural element at all to but joining these. So I do need to make sure that they are in the same plane though. So I'm going to spend today making sure that these are tacked together. I'll use thickened epoxy for that.
Thickened epoxy!
We'll align these panels and get them all in the exact plane, so when we start laying glass cloth, we don't have any uneven surfaces. By laminating layers on here, that's where the strength's going to come. It's going to be a busy couple days, and I'm going to need Lynn's help for mixing today and helping me align these panels. So we'll get her down here.
Got my epoxy station all ready for teal, and I have to say, this is one scene I really want to go away. So hopefully this is the last big project for us.
Go away? What are you talking about?
I hate this!
This is the best part about it.
This is not my idea of a romantic afternoon. How many pumps?
Let's start with 5. Lynn added some colloidal silica to thicken up my epoxy.
Thickened epoxy!
It's like thick peanut butter. All I'm doing is running just a small bead. This isn't adding any strength to the top. All it's going to do is hold these panels in the same plane. Just work my way through this. When I get done, we'll push all the panels together and let it cure overnight. Okay, this is the last of the panel seams. I'm adding weights on top of here to hold it tight down to the top, and that'll flatten all these seams right out. So here's where we stop for today. All the seams are done. There's plenty of weight on there, holding them stable to that template. We'll let this thickened epoxy fire off and cure overnight, and that'll give us a nice platform to start working tomorrow morning.
So we're on another road trip. We are heading out of town to grab some fiberglass fabric. One of the things that's kind of hard being in Napa Marina is that you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Well, you're smack dab in the middle of a bunch of vineyards, which is awesome, but
Awesome for you.
not yet, but not very many marine products. So there is a small store here in Napa Marina, but it's just, you know, some things we have to buy in bulk, and it's just more cost effective to get it in other places. I have to say that since we've been here, we just have been so fortunate. We have a few patrons that are in here, and the first day that we pulled in, Jay came over and helped us with our lines and dropped off a set of keys for us, which, I mean, it's so generous of him. He was just so nice, and he said this is just for running around getting groceries and supplies if we need it. So big thanks to Jay.
Jay, you're an awesome human.
So now we're gonna go get the cloth, and we have this beautiful scenic drive to get. It's just so, I mean, as far as you can see, there are just beautiful vineyards everywhere.
And wineries.
He won't stop at any of these places.
Hey, we got a lot to do today.
One of these days I want to get him to stop.
Tomorrow. Okay, we have our fabric. We picked up 60 yards of 10-ounce cloth. This should be pretty close to what we need. If we have to get more, we'll get more.
We let the epoxy cure all night, so let's see how it did.
Okay, now that this substrate is all tied together with thickened epoxy.
Thickened epoxy!
I had to take the clamps off before we start laying all the glass cloth down. And to keep this tight to the form and keep it from moving in the wind, I'm tacking the perimeter down with just a small little screw every foot or two. That holds it nice and tight. I'm going to go through and just kind of feel my seams now. You know, this thickened epoxy.
Thickened epoxy!
Kind of grabs this fibers and pokes up here and there. I don't want any of that to grab the fabric when we start laying it down. So I'm just going to real carefully make sure they're all knocked down if I feel any. There's not many, just a few. We're all set to start laying the fabric down. We picked up 60 yards of 10-ounce glass cloth. That's going to be enough to put 3 layers on each side. We're actually going to start with 2 layers on the top, and I'm going to switch directions with each layer. But I don't want to get too many layers on one side because it's going to want to start to curl this. So I want to put 2 layers on the top, flip this, and put 2 layers on the bottom. The idea is to build this up to 1 inch thick. We started with 3/4 inch material. The cabin top is 1 inch thick, but I'm going to grind that back to about 7/8 because the last 2 laminations on the top and 1 lamination on the bottom are going to tie into that cabin top, and that'll net me out that 1 inch thickness. So we'll get these first 2 layers on, 1 today and 1 tomorrow.
Okay, so Teal disappeared somewhere, and we're not going to wait for him because we have to lay this glass today. So while he's doing God knows what, Emma and I are going to roll this out, pre-cut it, so when Teal decides to grace us with his presence, we can start our epoxy job. Emma.
The girls did a good job cutting all the cloth to length. It's going to make this process much easier. But we're going to have to start winding this video down and save the epoxy work for next week. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, but please leave a comment. Special thanks to our patrons. Without you guys, these videos would not be possible. You know, Lynn, I have a message for you. I'm onto your little game. And if there's one takeaway from this video, just remember, thickened epoxy will always be thickened epoxy, and it'll never not be thickened epoxy. Thickened epoxy. See you guys next week.
Thickened epoxy! Thickened epoxy! Thickened epoxy! Thickened epoxy!